Good morning, sports fans. You're in the Cheap Seats, Josh Komnick, and we are out here at the Christian Village. Christian Village is Lincoln's only faith-based retirement community and is the area's leader for senior living and healthcare services. The village provides quality, compassionate care and a loving Christian environment. They offer a wide array of living options for older adults, such as independent living, rehabilitation, skilled nursing, and memory care. The Christian Village, located at 1507 7th Street in Lincoln, a community of passion. March the 24th, 2012, a beautiful Saturday morning, and it's always beautiful at the Christian Village. And I've got one of the administrators joining me all morning here from 9 to 10, and that's Doug Rutter. Doug, thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Jim tells me that there's $100 for any competing radio station DJs we take off the air for games. So I'm excited to be here.
He is. He's already he's got the soccer shirt, the jersey on, which is the sport of your choice, I think mainly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually missing a big match, Chelsea v Tottenham this morning. That's a big 6-pointer at the top of the table in the English Premier League. But happy to be here.
Where do you watch that at?
ESPN2.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you got it on TiVo? Or?
Absolutely. We got it on the DVR.
Right, there you go.
We'll sit down and watch it later on this afternoon.
And as I've got to get a little bit ready, I signed my 3-year-old, well, soon-to-be 4-year-old son up for soccer today. And, of course, they ask you to volunteer for coaching and things. And I have zero knowledge of soccer, so after the show I'm going to have to get some plays, or maybe you can be our coach for the YMCA League this summer.
Just tell them to kick it into the corners and check hard.
That's right. Check hard and kick hard and put it in the net.
There you go.
That's what I told them. You just got to score and you win. Hey, we're out here again at the Christian Village. Got a lot to talk about. A lot going on locally. Of course, great weather out there for the first part. I was a baseball player in high school and college, and I don't remember ever a spring now as good of weather. I mean, usually you were just scared to swing the bat against those heaters inside. You had your gloves on, you had all mitted up. And the other day, I'm out at the game at the Railer game. They got T-shirts on, no batting gloves. Some are wearing shades. Usually you're shoveling snow off the field.
Yeah, it's been an odd winter for us, and the spring's even better. We started the girls soccer season refereeing up there yesterday. Our first match that I got to blow the whistle at, and we're in short sleeves, and that's just not the way the season usually starts for us.
We can't complain though. I'm all for it, and we'll get into a little Lincoln High School baseball right now. Lincoln is going to be playing at 10 a.m. this morning at Normal West. They just came off a tough loss yesterday to Bloomington. Bloomington always a power school in baseball, especially in the Big 12 Conference. Lincoln fell to Bloomington yesterday at Lincoln at Curry Field, 6-3. They got down, I believe it was around 6-0, and Lincoln came back. And you heard some quotes from head coach Kurt Corright, which we're planning on getting him in. It's a tough situation in getting the head coach in baseball in, because they're either mostly time playing. Usually we've got to get them on a rain date, but hopefully we'll get first-year head coach Corright in to talk about the Lincoln baseball team this year. They're fall to 1-2. They split this week on the first series. College and high school baseball in the Central State 8, you play on a Tuesday and Thursday. The Railers lost at Taylorville Tuesday, and then won at Lincoln against Taylorville off a Tyler Horsham home run to even their record in Central State 8 play. And now they're 1-2, and they traveled again to Normal West today. Lincoln College baseball off to a hot start, 9-4. They're back from their Florida trip, and they won big the other day, scoring I think 18 runs against Kaskaskia. So it's a great time to get out and not only enjoy the weather, but some good baseball around town. As you're a Bloomington native right now, and there's a lot of good baseball schools in Bloomington also.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of big schools up there. A lot of talent. They like to swing the bat and play hard. Yeah.
Yep, it's a good time of the year if you're like to get outside and do all that kind of stuff. Again, LCHS baseball going on. Of course, the big thing going on right now, we've got Manning, we've got Tebow, if you can never get away from Tebow anymore. We've got the bounties that are out on the New Orleans Saints, which we'll talk about. And, of course, the NCAA tournament is going on. Why they start these games so late. I couldn't even stay up last night for the end of the game. But 4 great games last night there. On Thursday night there were a little bit of a blowout. I thought there was Louisville kind of had that game in hand against Michigan State. But last night, all 4 games really close, 60-57, 102-90, 73-65, and 75-70. And that was 75-70 was Baylor over Xavier. So they march into the Elite Eight playing on Sunday. UNC even without their point guard, was able to overcome Ohio 73-65. Kentucky revenged that only loss of the season to Indiana 102-90. And then Kansas knocked off maybe the Cinderella right now, or was the Cinderella, NC State 60-57. I know, Doug, you got a chance to watch a little bit above all the games.
Yeah, we were really interested in the UNC Ohio game, and it was when right at the end of regulation, you really thought that Ohio had a chance if they had a couple of defensive stops and one less turnover, that they really could have taken it home. But eventually, good coaching is going to win those close games, and Williams has been there too many times.
And I think the better athletes eventually take over, even if you're missing your point guard. And what a loss it would have been if UNC would not have been able to come on and win that. You lose your point guard to a broken wrist, and you're thinking maybe he gets to come back, maybe he doesn't. But just a bad time of year for something like that to happen.
Yeah, but you could really tell the difference in quality when they came out of the huddle after that overtime. North Carolina seemed very focused. They knew what they intended to do. They put a couple of quick possessions together, put some points on the board, and from then on, Ohio was chasing the game.
I'm sure you filled out a bracket, Doug, and follow college basketball, especially the NCAA tournament. Did you have any of these guys going still far? Of course, you probably had UNC. Of course, you probably had Kentucky, Kentucky right now looks to be the most dominant team. 102, you put up 102 points, and you can score the basketball. But did you have NC State this far? What about Baylor? Baylor moves on.
I didn't. I stopped looking at my bracket about Friday afternoon. But no. I mean, of course, who's gonna bet against Kentucky?
Sure.
Calipari knows his business, and it's. You get to recruit a pro team every year, so it's hard not to win that way.
Yeah, they are. Of course, you've got Baylor and Kentucky matching up on Sunday. You've got Louisville and Florida today. That's a 4:30 start, and then you've got Syracuse and Ohio State tonight at 7:05, and that'll be an interesting matchup, I think, with Syracuse and Ohio State. Ohio State was a team that I really didn't think was going to be able to get this far. I didn't think they were playing well at the end of the year. But Thursday night, I thought they looked really good. And now Syracuse, of course, without their big man, probably not as good, of course, as they could have been. But Ohio State, and I love to see the Big Ten. I want to see the Big Ten go. For a while there, we were really rolling. What Wisconsin loses on Thursday night by 1 point. And then we've still got Ohio State. Michigan State didn't look good the other night against Louisville. But you got to root, even though Illinois is not there, I'm still rooting for the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really, basketball, you think it's the sport that everything kind of levels out. You get a couple of good athletes, and that can really make a difference, more so than in, team sports like football, where, you need a lot of athletes and the big programs tend to dominate. But as you get deeper and deeper in the tournament, you start to see the value of, coaches and programs that have been there before. They're not as blinded by the lights and the cameras and the big crowds and the big moments, and they have those teams prepared and ready to step up. And so now we get deeper into the tournament, we start to see it's a lot of familiar suspects. There's folks that they've been there before. I don't think any of these teams would have been satisfied with a Sweet 16. These guys, all of these teams have their eyes on cutting down nets at one place or another.
Well, there's no Butler this year. There's not a VCU, and we'll get into the Butler situation a little bit later on in the show, because I think now he becomes the number one candidate for the Fighting Illini job. But like you said, there's no question about it. You've got Kentucky. I think Baylor may be right now the program that is not considered that top 30 program, I think, in the country. You've got Kentucky. You've got Louisville, Florida, who's been a back-to-back winner in the last couple of years. Syracuse, Ohio State is an up-and-coming, big-time program. Of course, North Carolina, and then Kansas. I mean, you've got Kansas, North Carolina, Kentucky, and maybe you can throw in Louisville, but at least those three. It's like you said, the cutting down the nets, or it's a wasted season.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be interested. We'd love to have some calls. Let's have some folks brag about their brackets, if they're already put it in the garbage can, or
mine's been in there for a while.
But this could be the year where if you're really thinking through it, there's not a lot of surprises or upsets here. So we could see, a lot of brackets that they really could have put it down
Sure.
right.
Brackets, anything on the Illinois opening position. Brad Stevens, was what I've been reading the last couple of days, is now maybe the front runner for that. So give us a call, 737-3791. Let us know who your top pick is after, what you think about Shaka Smart basically denying Illinois.
Yeah.
You're going at a mid-major program. You've offered him about $1.3 million more than what he's making now, and he turns you down. What does that say for the Illinois program right now on who really wants to come to Illinois? Do you want to leave Butler? Do you want to leave Alabama? Do you want to leave some of these programs that these guys are at? And there's something going on here, because you just don't turn down $1.5 million more than what you're making and get to a big-time program, which all the experts say this is a top 20 program in the country. Mm-hmm. You don't just turn that down to stay at VCU for a reason.
Well, and you look at, basketball is a fundamentally different program because it is so much about the tournament. You think about these mid-major programs, they can essentially recruit the same players, but they don't have to play Ohio State twice. They don't have to play Michigan State twice. They don't have to, play, and so, Shaka Smart can almost guarantee he's going to get to the tournament every year, even if he has a moderate, recruiting class.
Sure. Well, we're going to get back into that. We're going to take a quick commercial break here. We're out at the Christian Village. We're going to talk about who might be next for the Illini to offer, because Mr. Shaka Smart turned him down. We're out here at the Christian Village, 96.3 FM and WLCN. Back out here at the Christian Village. The Christian Village is Lincoln's only faith-based retirement community and is the area's leader for senior living and healthcare services. The village provides quality, compassionate care in a loving Christian environment. They offer a wide array of living options for older adults, such as independent living, rehabilitation, skilled nursing, and memory care. The Christian Village, located at 1507 7th Street in Lincoln, a community of compassion. Josh Komnick, along with Doug Rutter, an administrator out here at the Christian Village and a sports connoisseur.
Just to give you an update, it is still a hard-fought 0-0 draw at Chelsea v. Tottenham at White Hart Lane, and so far no one has been trampled to death. So we call
that's a win.
That's a victory there.
Yes, if nobody dies in the stands after a soccer game, you have won. Have you been to one of those?
No, not in. We've been up to a few MLS games.
Uh-huh.
But I've not been to any English Premier League games. It's
a bucket list for you, though. That's one of the things.
Absolutely. Even going up to MLS games it's a trip, man. With the drums and the fans singing through the whole match, it's awesome.
Hey, we've got a caller, Doug. So let's take a call and see what this guy wants to talk about. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah. I was glad Smart didn't come to Illinois. Money's not everything to some of them coaches.
Sure.
He looked, I'm sure, and wondered, what have I got there?
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between what I've got now? Yeah, what I've got. Right, what I've got now and what I can get.
Yeah.
What didn't you want, or what maybe didn't you like about Smart, Shaka?
Because the athletic director, that's all he wanted.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think he should have interviewed more before he did, or if he has.
Right.
And I wondered if Leonard and Paul had agents.
I don't know. I'm guessing Leonard would, I think, but I don't know that Paul is. A lot of people have told me that Leonard is going to be there, a high pick, but I don't think he's ready. A lot of people don't think.
It's fine.
Right. But when money flashes in front of your face and you're 7 foot and you can run and jump like a deer, there's a lot of people that want you in the NBA. But I don't know. I don't know that Paul is ready quite yet.
Tisdale was more ready than Leonard, and Tisdale couldn't make it.
Right.
I'm sure Leonard won't.
Right. And who's your next pick here? You've gone through. You've seen Butler's coach. You've seen Anthony Grant from Alabama. Some other talks. Who do you want?
I like the Butler coach, but if we're going to go with no experience, I'd like to have him let Collins try it from Duke.
Right.
He's had a good teacher, and his dad's a good coach. He's been around coaching all his life.
Sure.
That's my opinion anyway. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for calling in. We're getting into that coaching situation here, and we'll get back to it a little bit. I'm just, from what I've read this week on, not getting Shaka. They offered Shaka Smart $20.8 million offer, 8 years at $2.6 million a year. I believe at VCU he was making about 1.2, 1.3. And as our caller said, money's not everything to these guys. You're making a quite amount of money per year, and maybe the guy just felt comfortable. But for me, if we can't get a guy that's at a mid-major program, I know he's had success there, but if our offer and some of people I've read has said the arena is ran down, needs an improvement, which we know that, which is in the works, I think. The recruiting is there. Some say the fan base is way too high on expectations. Something is going different than what we may know as fans or onlookers, because there's no reason for me that a coach wouldn't want to upgrade his status, his pay. I've heard his wife is a journalist out in that area, and maybe that had a lot to do with it. There's things that we don't know about. But my thing is, I think there is a problem bigger than what we think it is, because you take a significant upgrade in pay for 8 years. I mean, you're making $2.6 million. It's tough to hear that a guy that you want, turns you down.
Yeah, and if we're seriously considering assistant coaches, even at premier schools, but assistant coaches that all they've ever done is held a clipboard.
Right.
That means that U of I basketball is not the program that we think it is.
Well, I like Collins. I like it, and like the caller said, he's from basketball pedigree. I mean, his dad was a great college basketball player over at ISU. Has been in the NBA coaching ranks now for a long time. He's been by Coach K. Krzyzewski at Duke for a number of years. He was a good player there. I'm good with him. I like Chris Collins. I like the guy from Butler, and I also like Anthony Grant from Alabama. He was an assistant under Billy Donovan. If you remember back before Shaka Smart got to VCU, this guy Grant that's at Alabama now was the guy that started VCU making this run. I mean, he took him into the tournament and won a couple games. Of course, right after he did that, he got offered the Alabama job. He went to Alabama. Shaka Smart moves into VCU. But I like Anthony Grant. I think he's got the experience. I believe he was under Donovan when they won those 2 championships in a row with Joakim Noah and some other guys like that. So the 3 guys that I think are at the top right now, I like. It's just, do they like it? Will they leave Alabama? Will he leave Butler? And what I've read here already, they had an article in the paper this morning. Nobody's contacted Butler or Stevens at Butler yet. He was fishing and making chalk designs on his driveway with his daughter yesterday. It says in the paper, and his phone was blowing up saying that Illinois approached you, and nobody's approached him. So who will get? I hope they don't go after this guy from Ohio because he won a couple games in the tournament. Like you said, I want a head coach that's got some experience. If we're a top 20 program in the nation, we can get that guy.
Yeah, wow, yeah. I think we think we're a top 20 program.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's...
even though we don't think, the experts think that. I mean,
sure.
I've listened to a number of ESPN guys say Illinois is a top 20 program that you want, or coaches want. The fan base, the student body, the pay, the benefits from the boosters is all wrapped into this coaching position.
Well, if you go with Groce at Ohio, you're definitely going to overpay just because of the last 3 games he's had.
Yeah.
But you can see the AD there. He likes those mid majors. That's the football coach that he brought in.
Yeah.
That seems to be kind of his move. I've also heard that they're in conversations with Florida State.
Yeah, Leonard Hamilton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love him. I love him.
There's options out there. I think it is disappointing for all of the Illini Nation that we couldn't just roll out the red carpet for the guy we wanted.
Well, they did. They offered him quite a bit of money, and some of the money that a lot of the big-time coaches get. We're not up there with Izzo or anything yet, but, they offered him a lot of money. I'm hearing rumors about this guy out in Arizona, but I don't think there's any way. Sean, forget his last name now, Sean, but he coaches Arizona. He left Xavier, I think, a couple years ago to go out to Arizona, and he's starting to build that Wildcat program back up to where Lute Olson had it. So I don't think there's any way we get him unless he wants to come back to the Midwest. But, my three guys I think right now are the guy from Butler, Stevens, and Anthony Grant, and possibly the other guy we were mentioning. And you say Leonard Hamilton had a great run at Florida State in the last couple of years. So another possibility. Who we get, I think now the time frame becomes maybe after the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's a good thing, a bad thing, but, you got to get this guy hired before you start losing recruits to saying, hey, we don't even have a coach. There's no way I'm going there.
Well, absolutely. You've already really lost next year's recruiting class. I mean, that happened, in November of this year. So, you really need to be hitting the road to see those AAU games over the summer. I mean, that has to happen the week after the tournament's done.
One thing you can do in saving some recruits is keep Jerence Howard on staff, and I don't know if that happens. A lot of times when a new coach comes in, they pretty much clean house.
Sure.
And Jerence has been a guy that, I grew up playing basketball against him. He was a player at Peoria Central. He went to Illinois. He was a year, I believe, Brian Cook's age, and they were roommates. A great guy. I've known him for a long time. He loves Illinois. He bleeds orange and blue, and you got to find a way to keep this guy here. He's already been, offered a lot of positions in the last couple of years to leave, and he's stuck with the Illini. And of course, he's gotten some pay increase to do that, which helps. But if you want to keep these recruits in good cahoots with these recruits, he's the guy that's been talking to him while we haven't had a head coach. So it would be the smartest thing for the new guy to come in and say, hey, Jerence, I want you to be the top guy, assistant, stay here with me. Whether he says yes or no, that's his decision.
Well, if you can't pull the best player out of Peoria and 3 of the best 5 players out of the south side of Chicago, that's not Illini basketball.
Right.
And so you've got to have those contacts regardless of where your coach comes from if you want to keep this program successful.
Well, that's what we think about the Illinois program for right now, and we'll find out who the next coach will be, and they better get on it quick because, like I said, you can't win without talent, and we definitely need some more talent over in Champaign-Urbana. Hey, we got a lot to talk about yet. Peyton Manning, Tebow, the Bounties, Dempster, opening day starter named for the Cubs, and Carpenter, another injury for the Cardinals. Baseball coming up right away. We're in the Cheap Seats, 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.